All right. Good evening and welcome back to the third and final session of the Erasmus Mundus Application Guide 2027. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Khalid and I'm the country representative for Ghana within the Erasmus Mundus Association. And I'm also the program representative for the EDIS program. And if this is your first time, this series is part of three series whereby we guide students to have an idea on how to prepare the applications for the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. In case this is your first time joining us, make sure that you have, or at least after joining today's session, you go back and watch the two previous sessions. The first one was on the general requirements of the scholarship, and the second one, we talked about how to craft a statement of purpose. So if you are joining us for the first time, make sure to watch those sessions as well. And today's and finest, the final session of this series, we will be having a look at the atomic habits of Erasmus Mundus Scholarship winners. I believe that to become successful, you need to study success. And that is why it is important to study or at least learn from people who have been through the process, what they did differently to get the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. So in this particular talk, we will be having a look at what Erasmus Mundus scholars did differently to get the scholarship. And we will also talk about the secret weapons to winning scholarships in general. So make sure that you pay maximum attention to this series. And I have with me Barbara, who is a current scholar of the Erasmus Mundus program. She will be having her time. She will tell us what she did differently to win the scholarship. No need to introduce her. When the time is due, she will do that herself. We are also expecting two more people. I hope that they join us as soon as possible. So without waiting any further, let's welcome Barbara Ofosu to give us a short introduction of herself, and then we will bombard her with our questions, hoping that she provides us insightful answers that would help us craft our application. Barbara.
Hi, Khaled, and good evening to each and every one of you here. I really appreciate the opportunity to share my experience, and I do have some slides to share, but I'll start talking, and as and when I'm able to, I would share that with you. It's not a lot though, so you wouldn't miss out even without the slides.
Much appreciated. So just let me know when you need to display the slides. I will give you the, I don't know if I should say permission, but I will give the access right to you so that you can share them on the screen.
Okay, I could actually send them over if that would be more convenient.
I do believe that you should be able to share them. Can you confirm that from your end?
Okay, let me quickly check.
Yes, that would be great.
All right, so just to not waste your time, I'll just start and then again when
Yes, that is okay.
yeah, so my name is Barbara Fosu and I had my undergraduate studies at the University of Cape Coast where I studied psychology before I got the opportunity to study my master's both at SWPS University in Poland and currently at the University of Limerick where I'm spending my second semester. So I did my first semester in SWPS and currently doing my second semester of my master's program in the University of Limerick. And a little backstory again is that prior to these applications, I did do my internships right from when I got the opportunity in my first year of undergraduate studies. Right. So the first year I got the opportunity to intern with the Institute for Liberty and Policy Innovation. And then subsequently, I also got the opportunity to work as a campus convener for the Young Africans for Opportunities. They are both NGOs that I did work with for quite a number of time before I started off applying for scholarships. Now, prior to applying for Erasmus Mundus, I had tried different scholarships, but for the Erasmus, it was my first time applying, and luckily enough, I was able to get it. And I'm saying luckily because so many odds were against me. I remember that I was sent the application. So in my program, the application process is quite different. So you first fill out a form where you input your courses that you took for your undergraduate studies to the university. And then if the university feels like there's a fit between your program and their master's program, then they send you the application link to apply. So there was no link to directly apply to the university like some other scholarships do have. And so I remember very well that they sent me the invitation to apply about 4 days before the deadline closed. And even that, they had already finished accepting students who were eligible for scholarships. And that's what makes my story a bit more interesting because I'm a scholarship recipient. Ideally, everyone would have maybe thought of not pursuing the thing again, the master's application again, because firstly, the time after they sent the link to apply was almost due. And also, scholarship recipients had already gotten it technically, if you look at what the information said on the website. But I had already prepared the application ahead of time. I was really waiting for them to get back to me. And so when the application came, I quickly just submitted my documents and then put the application through until I was invited for an interview, which I'm also going to quickly talk about. I think I can share my screen now. So while I
All right.
try, please give me a few seconds to.
All right. Um, that is really inspiring. So let's wait and um, we hope that Barbara is able to share her slides with us as soon as possible. We are also working towards getting the two other people to be part of us. We will try to keep this very brief to not waste your time, but let's hope that they join us as soon as possible. Once Barbara is able to share her slides, we will be able to make her continue with her talk. All right.
I believe you can see my slides now.
I guess it's being loaded. Yes.
All right, so I've already given you a little backstory about myself. And yeah, so ideally, as someone who had gotten a few rejections prior to this one, it was very tempting to feel like maybe this is just one of those ones where you shouldn't go ahead and apply because, like I initially said, all the odds were technically against me and it didn't look as if I was going to get the scholarship. So again, what I'm about to share is not to tell you the story of an extraordinary student, but just a regular girl who used the small things that she did every day to achieve what is worth sharing to all of you right now. And so thinking about it and looking back, there were so many things that I feel I didn't do that I'm glad I didn't. And I believe that in the three-part series that you have already joined, you've been told so many things that you should do. So I'm not here to tell you all the things that you should do. I'm just sharing my experience of the things that I feel I didn't do that were worth it. And so one thing I realized was that I didn't make my application about how much I needed the scholarship. Because if you look at it, the scholarship was even passed. I didn't actually apply for a scholarship. I saw in the website that okay, the deadline had passed for students who could receive a scholarship. So I just submitted a genuine interest in the program. And I'm glad I did that because I shared it from a very personal point of view. And like the topic for today, atomic habits, I realized when Khalid invited me over to speak about my experience, I had to go and read through my statement of purpose to see if there was actually something very extraordinary. I realized how much I had put all the things I did, the little things that I think did not matter into it. And some way, somehow, it made sense to the reviewers of the application. And then also something that I did not do was that I didn't just my statements of purpose and even in the application documents I had submitted, I didn't just say I had potential because so many people do have the potential. You have to prove that you are worth investing in. Those who are reviewing those applications, I'm saying this because I was interviewed and I can still remember some of the interview questions that they asked me. They are really looking for people who have done the work they claim they have done. And so behind you saying, oh, you are worth the scholarship, what do you have to prove that you have indeed done it? Think of these people or these scholarship awarders as investors. If you are a business person and you are investing in someone, wouldn't you want profits? Of course, they would want profits. So you have to sell yourself and prove that you are worth investing in. I believe that these are some of the small, small things that I did that gave me the opportunity to be able to get the scholarship eventually. And then prior to my application, I did help my lecturer back in UCC with some of like proof editing some of the research she had done because she was busy with other academic stuff. So she would send it over. It was very inconvenient. I remember sometimes I would be so sad because I had a lot of work to do. But thinking about it, really through her work sort of enlightened me and it gave me the opportunity to submit my statements of purpose to her in return because I wasn't taking money for what I was doing. And so she felt it was actually like a month when I started preparing for the actual scholarship. I gave it to her and she was able to assist me correct my own materials that I submitted, which I think did help in the application. It is always very important to have a second eye, look over your documents that you are submitting. And then the last thing I think I didn't do was that I didn't reject myself before the program rejected me. I believe this is self-explanatory from the story I've been sharing the whole time. You should
Absolutely.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
sorry for
yeah,
cutting you off, but I think what I've taken from you, which is very inspirational, is that you did not assume that you were a perfect applicant. And for that
yeah,
matter, you had to do whatever that it took to, elevate your application, which is very important whenever you are preparing for scholarship. And one other thing that you said that really got my attention was that the scholarship committee or the evaluation the committee members are just like investors. They are looking for people that when they invest in, they will get some sort of benefit
yeah,
from investing, which is really true because when you look at scholarships aren't just free money for school. I've always said this, it's sort of money that is invested in an individual with the hope that someday, somehow, there will be returns on that particular individual. So when you prepare your application according to these guidelines, there is a big chance that you will be, lucky enough to get awarded.
yeah. Thank you very much, Halid. And then outside of what I didn't do, there was also some things that I felt like over the years built up that I really did not think I needed, but made sense overall in the application process. And that was the little experiences. Like the fact that I accepted extra tax from my lecturer, then the fact that I started getting an internship experience right from my first year for my program in UCC. For every level 300 student that was practicum, and so I could have decided, oh, I can wait till it's my third year to do the official internship. But when I had the opportunity to intern right from first year, I took it on and I made sure I made use of the opportunity. And then the second thing I didn't think I needed was the feedback with my application materials. As someone who had applied to other scholarships, you'll be tempted to think that it was just an unlucky time the first or the second time you applied it. So your materials are good enough but to apply to every other one. But you really need that feedback. Sometimes when you're writing your own thing, you believe in yourself so much that you feel like you've done the perfect thing. But I was actually pretty surprised when my lecturer, well, I wouldn't say surprised. maybe much expected because she really edited a lot of things out. I thought I had gotten the best statement of purpose, and he came back with a lot of edits, which I, looking back, think that it has made a big difference in my application. And then the last thing I didn't think I needed was that every information I needed was on the program website. Now, on the day of my interview, I was asked about courses that I would take in my first semester, which were all on the program website. And when we first started this program, we spoke with the the panel
Program
that
coordinator.
interviewed us. Yes, the coordinator for the program and the panel that interviewed us. They were actually telling us that, oh, sometimes we do ask questions, but when we realize that students might use AI to give us their responses, we switch the questions to very personal things and very basic things that we take them off their feet, like information on the program website. And in my case, it was actually the real thing that happened. They asked me, so how do you think this particular course, how do you think you'll be able to manage the demand of this particular course? And the course was on the program website, and I just had to look at it and look at it again. Again, on the program website, they had links available to the website where you could develop your Europass, CV, and every other thing. These are basic things that you would need because you need to tailor your application to like the European format. And so I believe that paying attention to very little details you think would not matter actually do matter. And the last thing I think I didn't know I needed, but actually ended up doing was preparing early. Despite the fact that the school sent me the link to apply a few days to the deadline, I had all these materials early, and there was no way I could have submitted if I didn't prepare early enough. And so all of this put together, I would like to summarize by saying that when I look back at my journey now, I don't think there was one extraordinary thing that I did that won me the scholarship, but it was rather a collection of those small, small things. And the fact that I started gaining experience early, I volunteered. All these internships I did were on a volunteer basis. I didn't take money in return for them. And then when the opportunity to take a leadership role as campus convener came, I did take it on. And I made sure that some way, somehow, I found a way to stay connected to research by working with my supervisor. And then I understood my interests. Okay. And again, all the research I did about the program was available on the website. And I'm glad I did ask for feedback and kept on checking and checking until I was able to submit the application. And some way, somehow, I landed a scholarship. Even I was very shocked when I was told I had gotten the scholarship. And like I said, don't reject yourself before the institution rejects you. Sometimes that feeling can overwhelm you, and please don't. Just give it a try. I am here with students who have schooled in the US for their undergraduates, people who have schooled in Australia. And sometimes I wonder how I made it here, but I feel like maybe that's just how it was meant to be. And yeah, thank you very much for your attention. If you have questions, please feel free to ask me. My name is Barbara Futsu, and I'll be glad to connect with you and answer your questions.
Thank you very much for the inspirational message, Barbara. I think this is really, really encouraging to the students who are currently preparing to send in the application. And you made mention of two very important things that do not start late, start as early as possible. And that indeed is true because, like they say, a blow which is inevitable yours, the earlier you encounter, the better.
Yeah.
Myself, I did share my experience with them in our second session. I started looking at the Erasmus Mundus scholarships when I was in my second year. And that was because I met a guy from Nigeria who had, I believe he had his first year in Italy and he came to Turkey. And I was still in the second year of my undergraduate studies. So I took that opportunity to research about the Erasmus Mundus scholarship and I started preparing, like you said. So do not leave your application until the very last day or the last few days to the deadline before you start putting in effort. Like we said, um, it is a habit and you cannot develop a habit in 2 3 days. It takes time. It's practice. You
Yeah.
have to practice over and over again to become perfect. And you do not need to self-reject. And that is something that I took from Barbara's message. Again, do not self-reject, because we all, once in a while, face what we call the imposter syndrome. We never feel that we are good enough for something. And the only way for you to, know how good you are is to take action. I have a friend from Greece, and he says this to me all the time. He says, the only way to start is to start. Do not self-reject. Send in that application, take your time, go through the program's website. Again, that is a very good piece of advice. Now AI is all over the place. Yes, everyone is capable of putting in a good application in terms of the statement of purpose. But then these are the very little, information that you can be caught off guard. So make sure you go through the program's website, read every single bit of information. Even if you feel it is not necessary, it is good for you to know, even if you are not writing it in the statement of purpose. It is very important that you have all the information that you need on your fingertips, so that in the event that you are asked, you will be able to provide a tangible answer. Once again, thank you very much, Barbara. I appreciate your attendance today and sharing your experience with us. We've got question in the chat. I don't know if I can read. Oh, I think somebody was asking if how they could reach out to you. So you can connect with Barbara on, I believe, LinkedIn. Barbara, if you feel okay, you've already shared your LinkedIn.
Yes, I am.
Yes, link. Thank you very much. So now let's have questions from our audience. If anybody has any question, now or never. We have Barbara here, and she's ready to take on your questions. So please do not hesitate to raise up your hand or put your question in the chat, and I will read it out to Barbara to have her response on the questions. Anybody with any question? And that's okay. Comfort, please go ahead. Comfort.
Hi, good evening.
Evening.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm Comfort, and I want to ask. I completed uni in the year 2024, right? And I studied BSc Natural Resources Management, but then specialized in fisheries and watershed management. So after that, I did my service as a teaching assistant, yes, for a year, and then I had opportunity to join a fellowship whereby I taught chemistry to senior high school science students. Yes, so I don't know. Currently, my I wouldn't say I don't really know what if I want to actually have my MSc, but I don't really know which field I should go into, whether I should continue with the what I did in uni, or since my experiences are in education, if I should choose programs in that field. I'm also very business oriented. I don't know. I'm currently confused. Even if I want to continue with the MSc, yeah. So yeah. So basically, that's my question.
Yeah,
I would
Comfort.
need clarity.
Yeah, I believe your question is rather, I would say, it needs a career coach who would probably provide a much better answer than I would. But in my experience dealing with students, I believe that graduate studies is quite different from, pursuing an undergrad degree. You are not going to be taught the same way that you are in your bachelor's. And so it is very important to know what you are signing up for. You know, it should be something that you are comfortable with, something that you really have passion for, you have interest in. If you don't, then I would advise that you do not just apply for the sake of applying, because at the end of the day, it will need your effort, and effort comes with your interest and passion. Without these two, it will be very difficult for you to follow the course. So, the most important as far as the programs are concerned is what your background is and the program that you're applying to. There should be some sort of alignment. You cannot come from, say, agricultural background and then apply to a program in business. I believe that maybe there may be very few programs. Yes, most of the programs are interdisciplinary. In the event that the program also offers a track in business, even if you have background in agriculture, it will be possible for you to follow or apply to the program. But then if the program doesn't have any track in business, then it will be very difficult for you to get accepted to the program. So I would say, first of all, follow your passion, whatever that your heart desires, follow that and apply to a program that is in the same field, and make sure that your background that you have from your previous studies and experiences aligns with the program that you're applying to. I don't know if this answers your question, Comfort. All right. Before I take a question from Apia NS, there is a question in the chat. When will the next application be open? Eric, I believe you were not able to join us during the first two sessions. Each program is independent, and usually most programs start accepting applications as early as August. So this is the right time to start looking up for programs that you are interested in. So please go through if you haven't watched the first session yet, it's on YouTube. I will share the link in the chat. You can go there and watch the first video because all the details are there. You also find the link to the Erasmus Mundus course catalog, where you can browse through all the available programs and choose the ones that interest you. And after that, you can check the individual websites of those programs and find out the exact application date. But yes, some programs, I'm not aware of any program that is currently accepting applications because I haven't gone through each and every program, but I believe that some programs might have already started accepting applications, and you should check the Erasmus Mundus course catalog to find that information. Next, let's take our next question from Apia Ines.
Okay, so I have a very simple question, and my question is directed to Barbara. I want to ask her if she wrote any international English proficiency test. That is my question.
All right. Thank you for your question. Yes, I did write IELTS, and I believe that if I had submitted my English proficiency, it might have worked. But I did write IELTS, which I used in my application. And I wrote IELTS academic.
Right. And just to add to that, for your reference, I have also had this discussion with some of the program coordinators in the past, and it is really a very difficult thing because sometimes it's not the program that is requesting the English proficiency test. Sometimes it's the country where the university is found. For instance, I did my bachelor's in Turkey, and I still had to write the English proficiency test to submit to the programs that I was applying to. But that said, there are some programs that would accept if you are able to get any sort of certificate from your bachelor's program or department that really testifies that indeed you did your bachelor's in English. But then there are very few programs that accept such certificates. If you have the opportunity, I would advise that you write the English test proficiency diaries because you may end up using it elsewhere, which I think it also sort of strengthens your application. Let's take our next question from Muhammad Baba. Muhammad, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, Barbara, for the insightful presentation. Yeah. I just want to ask about something that has been a challenge for me for over 2 years now. You see, when you observe the programs keenly on Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, they always have this requirement where they require you to have related experience to the program that you are applying for. And here is the case in Ghana. Mostly you have a academic background in the program, or you can do it when it comes to academics. But after your graduation, probably you have not been able to focus on that area, but you have diverted in other areas, thereby making it difficult for you to demonstrate experiences in the program that you are applying for. How do you maneuver through those requirements?
All right, thank you very much, Mohammed. I believe that the people who are reviewing these applications look at it on a case by case basis, and in some instances, the experiences might not necessarily be the exact one you state, but they are looking for your ability to do what we call transfer of knowledge. How do you transfer what you have learned from your bachelor's to a new field? It gives them the idea that this person is likely to survive in a new learning environment that is unfamiliar to theirs. I read psychology, all right. I did my national service in an entertainment company. And somehow I was able to link that experience from my psychology background to how I was able to manage people, meeting with new people every day, how I was able to relate with people, how I was able to use my experience from psychology to be able to work with individuals. Because as a psychology student, of course, you might not necessarily be in a clinical setting. Even if you're in a clinical setting, you will still end up working with people. So how do you work with people in a non-clinical setting? How do you manage unfamiliar environment? How do you transfer the knowledge you've gained into a new field? I believe that they look at those little things to connect the dots and say, okay, if you're able to do this, then there's a very high likelihood that you can definitely do well on the program or be able to, accommodate the new experiences that might come your way. I remember during my interview for my application, they randomly asked me, how do I think I'm going to survive the weather in Poland? And my response was that I'm not going to be the first person to leave a country with a temperate region to a country as cold as Poland. So I'll definitely reach out to someone who has lived there before to find out how they were able to manage. Plus, I have Google. I would definitely Google it to find out how I can stay warm even in very cold or extreme weather conditions. They just want to know how you can navigate difficult situations. I hope this answers your question.
Mohammed, does that help?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes. And so, like Barbara said, it is just about how you are able to connect experiences, make the dots connect, because sometimes, like you mentioned, in some countries, it is very difficult to get a job in your field of study. Many people have, you know, they have been recruited into areas which isn't their primary field of study. But of course, it's just about how you are able to transfer knowledge. And that is why they are looking for people who have this sort of ability, like Barbara rightly said, you should be somebody who should be able to take what you have already acquired and be able to apply that in another field of study, or even in a different environment altogether, which is very important. So do not be discouraged by that because there are many people that I believe that do not have international experience or even experience outside academia in their respective fields, who are equally recruited into Erasmus Mundus. So do not be discouraged. I believe that if you are able to put up your statement of purpose appropriately, you should stand a chance of winning the scholarship, given that you have a strong profile. And I always emphasize on this because, it's competitive And one thing that I believe that most students in Ghana may have, or in Africa may have an advantage on, is that we do not have a lot of applications, at least in Ghana, in my experience. Most Ghanaians don't have a lot of applicants. I have studied the trend. When you look, we have most of the applications coming from countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, even Italy, which is an European country. They have more applicants compared to Ghana. And I think one of the hindrances of the low applicants number is due to the English proficiency test. And of course, like I said, if you have the opportunity, please write it. I know it costs a bit, but yeah, the nam ne yin nam, like they say it. You need to be able to use some sort of baiting to get whatever that you want. So if you have that opportunity, please write the English proficiency exam because it will help you a lot. Do we have any other question? We still have about 20 minutes, but let's see if we have any further questions. And just so you know, I have shared a link to the second session that we had. The video is on YouTube. It's in the chat. So if you haven't watched that, please watch it because we discussed how to write a statement of purpose. And I did talk about the impact framework that you can apply to your statement of purpose. It is important that you learn how to write the statement of purpose. Do not rely on generic or templates from the internet because everyone uses that and it doesn't help at all. It just makes you like one of any other applicant. So please make sure you watch that if you miss that session so that you can write a proper statement of purpose to attach to your application document because like I said, it is the only document that they rely on in the event that all students are equal, in the sense that you all have equally strong profile and they should, yeah, looking for a way to tell apart two equally strong applicants. So please check that video if you haven't. And if you have any question, do not shy from putting it in the chat or raising up your hand and ask your question. If you feel you have the imposter syndrome to talking, I'll put it in the chat. I will read it out to Barbara for her to answer. And Barbara, I have a question. Did you have any international experience? Did you travel outside of the country before? Did you work outside of the country before?
While working for the NGO Young Africans for Opportunities, yes, I did travel once. And outside of that, I did travel as well. But I don't think those things were the main reasons why I probably got the opportunity. I did have the experience, but again, looking at the questions they asked me during my interview, I don't think they considered those things.
Right.
But I did have the opportunity to travel to, I think, 3 countries before I submitted my application.
Right. I believe that each program is unique because my program, they even had points for international experience. So for students who had already traveled outside to study or work, they had an upper hand over someone who had never traveled or, studied abroad because they needed people who could easily integrate into the environment and they didn't want, because in their experience, I believe that they have had such students and it's usually very difficult for them to adapt as quickly as someone who has already experienced such an environment. So,
okay,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
maybe they looked at that, but I didn't just take notice because I'm just thinking through my mates, and almost everyone did have an international experience looking at it.
But that doesn't rule you out if you haven't had any international experience.
But there were a few who didn't as well.
Yeah, because there are people who have also not traveled out before, but then they once you are able to, express yourself well in your statement of purpose, that should be enough.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so maybe we wait for 5 more minutes and see if anybody has any question. And remember, this is the final session. So if you have any question, please ask it now, because um, it's almost September now, and in Europe right now, it's getting busy for everyone. I believe Barbara is probably going to her last institution. Barbara, is that correct?
Yes, currently my last institution.
Yes, and you will be starting your
internship.
thesis, internship, very
Yeah.
soon, which would be very demanding. So yes, and if you have watched the previous video and applied the changes to your statement of purpose and you want us to read, you can send it to me. If you check the second video, you will find the email through which you can send the statement of purpose. But you have to be patient with me because I receive a lot of requests to review applications. So I'm not I'm not the ultimate source of truth, but then like I said, I have some experience with helping other students secure the scholarship. So if you would want me to review your application letter for you, you can send it to me, and be patient enough, because sometimes it can take 2 to 3 weeks for me to get the time to review it for you. So have that at the back of your mind, and I will share the email with you all in the chat. All right. If we don't have any questions, I think Barbara, you can give us your final words, and then we end it here.
All right. Once again, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here. And again, I would want to end by saying that please don't give up on yourself if the institution has not given up on you. Just give yourself the opportunity to apply and take your time to go through the application. Likely, Khalid is here to go through your statement of purpose for you. Since you have the opportunity to have someone look at your documents, please take the opportunity, and I wish you all the best in your applications, and hopefully we'll connect someday in Europe after you gain your international scholarships. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And I want all of you in this meeting to give a big round of applause to Barbara, because not only today, she has been a pillar behind the Erasmus Mundus Association Ghana network. She has been helping us with our media. You know, she has been putting us on the map there. So please say a very big thank you, and remember her in your prayers, so that someday she can become the Minister of Education and help the country as much as she can. And yes,
thank you. I remember you in my prayers as well. So you all land your scholarships of choice.
Right. So best of luck to all of you here. We'll be looking forward to hearing about the outcome of your applications. If you have any information on that, as soon as it drops, please let me know. And like I said, you are very welcome to share your application documents with me to review them for you. Once again, best of luck in your applications, and we will continue this in our WhatsApp chat. Have a very good evening.